Hi, everyone. Welcome to day two. And I know you're probably like, it's not 2 p.m. Eastern. I actually had to switch around some scheduling for today. I had an appointment that I had to go to in the morning. I had some things come up. Tuesdays through Thursdays are like the busiest client days for me. So I had some things come up and I wanted to make sure that I got in here with all of you for day two of Welcome Week. So if you're like, what just happened? You said 2 p.m. I know it's a little early, but don't worry. This is going to be in your guide section. So it's going to be ready and waiting for you to catch the replay. And as you are joining, if you're able to pop in live, say hey. If you're watching the replay, drop me a little comment in the comments so I know that you're here. And just also a heads up, we had somebody join the Facebook group this week, and there are a couple of people that are still making their final decisions before we officially start the actual curriculum starting next week. So keep an eye out for that. And I'm just really excited to see who makes their way into the house with us for this very special first cohort of Revolution House. And it is about to pour here. I don't know if you're seeing the differing like light. A storm just rolled in and it is lightning and thundering and craziness outside. So hopefully it doesn't interfere with our time here together. So let me pull you up here so I can see comments just in case anybody pops in. But today we are going through how to make the most of your membership, because even with a membership, right? I think sometimes people think that, oh, memberships, it's typically lower investment, like it's not that big of a deal. I actually think the opposite. I think memberships are one of the most commitment forward spaces, because yes, while it may be lower ticket, when I think about a membership, I think about being part of something, like really being part of a community, being part of a family, so to speak, right? A growing family, a growing network. And that's time investment. And arguably, right, time investment is even more precious than money investment, because time is limited. So I really do not take for granted the fact that you are here and you are committing your time. I know you are building something powerful, you're building something big, you have a lot of things on your plate, and I want to make sure that I am very forward with helping you see how to make the most of our time here together, whether if it's 4 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, however long you decide to stay. I want to make sure that you can really feel like your time is being invested wisely and effectively and efficiently. So let's go ahead and get started with your points of contact, because with memberships, we have a lot of moving parts. We have our curriculum, we have our live calls, we're going to have, who knows, we have guests coming in. So I want you to feel like you know where to go if you have any sort of questions. So your point of contact is me, and I'll also have my VA in here. Her name is Noreen. So if you see her in here, she's part of Team Rev House. She's here helping us. She's going to be helping me specifically with some of the tasks to make sure that you all get the support that you need. And the email that you can use is theliberatedlatina@gmail.com. So if you have any questions around billing, around anything setup wise of the community, if you're feeling like you need a little bit more support in any way, that is your go-to email. And I would really appreciate if you direct any questions or concerns or things that you need changed through email and not in the group, because I want to make sure that we can track and make sure that everything that you bring up is addressed. And we'll talk about what the Facebook group is for. But if you have any sort of questions, concerns, things like that, go to the email, theliberatedlatina@gmail.com. Okay. And Noreen will also be in here. But she's going to be more so a point of contact through email. Do you guys hear this? I don't know if you can hear the thunder. It is crazy outside. Okay. Um, Following those lines of communication, uh, I find that in some spaces, there becomes this like offline connection on like Instagram, and you all know I'm very active on Instagram. And for sure, as you are posting, we're going to be kind of connecting on Instagram. I might send you some little, encouragement, or we might have some conversations here and there on Instagram. However, anything specifically related to membership, especially if it's like questions, concerns, um, anything curriculum wise, if you want to get in contact with me about something related to your membership, email, 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 because if we have Instagram, and then we have the Facebook group, and then we have Boxer if you've been a private client before, right? Like there's so many ways, and I just don't want anything of yours to get lost, and I want to make sure that we can appropriately track who asks what and making sure that everybody gets that support. So email is the way to go. Okay, making the most out of the space. So if you're asking like where am I going to be putting my time? What does this really look like? What is the overall setup for this membership? So this membership, as you know, as you saw in the terms and conditions, which was the task to complete in day one, is to go through the terms and conditions and make sure that you sign off that you agree. If not, we will be following up with you. And I don't want to do that because I know you're busy. So make sure that you go through the terms and conditions. But if you did, you will notice that this membership is cohort style, which means that it's not a membership that's always open, that people can come in, they can come out. This membership is cohort style. So once you come in, you are in for at least 4 months. Okay. Once those 4 months are over, then it'll automatically go into month to month until you let me know, about 5 or so days before your next billing cycle. Hey, Daisy, I feel complete. Thank you so much. I'm ready to cancel my membership. So that's another important aspect to distinguish too, as far as billing. It's 4 months. Once your 4 months are over, so we'll be ending the year together, which is really exciting, right around the holidays and the new year. If there is no notice otherwise, you're automatically going to be carried forward into a month-to-month membership until you let me know, hey, we're complete. But the reason why that is because we're going to be doing a lot of work here together, both on the somatic side and on the marketing, skill building, curriculum, strategy, things like that. And for me, I don't feel like you can really get the most impacts, the most ROI, if it's a month-to-month thing where maybe you come in for a month, you try to get through everything as fast as you can to then cancel. And I just wanted this to be a space where we can come in, we can drop our bags, we can drop our shoulders, and really lean into the community and build deep relationships. Like we talked about in day one, a movement requires people, right? A movement is a mobilization of people in the masses. And so part of that is being able to cultivate relationships and being able to grow your network. And we can't do that if we're kind of speeding in and speeding out. And also with the vocal activation, like I talked about yesterday as well, a lot of things come up, a lot of really vulnerable things come up. And for me, I've been in spaces where it's like, I don't really want to share this part of my story or this part of me in this huge group setting. And then tomorrow, like some new faces are in, that person that I really connected with is out. And it just feels like there's a revolving door. And I don't feel like that really creates safety for us to be really open and vulnerable with each other. Okay, so that's the intention behind that. So each month of the 4 months, we are going through a specific part of the movement leaders marketing wheel. So if you remember in the sales page, that methodology is actually going to be the structure, the bones of our next 4 months together. So we're starting off with voice. So our first vocal activation will be next week, which reminds me, I'm going to be dropping a poll at the end of today. So your task for today is to answer the poll with what days and times from those options are most convenient for you. When you look at that poll and when you look at those times, try to pick the time frame that 8 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10, you'll be able to attend, because that's also the poll that I'm going to use for our incredible guest facilitator, Chris Jacobs. He's a marketer. He's also a spiritual life coach and mentor for, just incredibly successful people. He's worked with Paris Hilton, the Kardashians, with their marketing. So he is actually coming in here to be able to facilitate a workshop. And that, based on those results, are the timeframes that I'm going to give him so we can get his calendar on, his session on the calendar. And I want most of you to be able to join live, because you're going to be able to ask him questions. You're going to have that access to him that otherwise we wouldn't be able to have, because he's so incredibly busy. So I want to be able to make sure that you guys can really be there live and access and ask him questions and have that connection and make that, that added network connection to your, what's that word? Not category. What's that word? Catalog? I don't know. That word escapes me. So each of the months are going to have an intention following the methodology. So we'll have voice, skill set, expression, and strategy. Each month, that section of the methodology is going to kind of lead The curriculum is going to lead our vocal activation. We're always going to start the month with a vocal activation. In the week leading up to the next month, you'll get a calendar. You'll be able to kind of set aside that time. We're going to start the month together with a vocal activation session. Those are usually going to be about 60 to 75-ish minutes. And then we're going to end each month together with a marketing Q&A. Those are going to be live on Zoom. So you're going to have the Zoom link. You're going to be able to come in. We're going to have that like true community being able to interact back and forth together. The marketing Q&As at the end of the month are for you to bring in whatever you want to offer and get support on or talk about together. So if you have an upcoming launch and you want to bounce off ideas for a launch theme or a strategy, or if you want to bring in some copy and get some feedback, if you want to bring in some content ideas and just talk about, what's the best way that I could really capture this? I'm trying to create this. I'm trying to create this result. I'm trying to translate this. What do you guys think how should I go about this? It's also a time for you to support, right? If a fellow member is asking a question and it's in the area where you support or you have some insight that you want to offer, that's also your opportunity to show up in your genius and your expertise and be able to offer support. So those are going to be at the end of the month. And then in between, there are going to be live streams just like this in the Facebook group where I am going to be offering different trainings to build out the curriculum of whatever it is that we're working on that month. Okay, so like I said, you'll get a calendar for this next 4-week cycle this week because we're starting next week. So you'll get that here in the group next week. It'll always be pinned to the top of the Facebook group. So if you're ever in doubt, you just go to the top of the Facebook group and it should be pinned to the calendar for that month period. Let's see what else here. Everything is always going to be added to the guide section. So if you ever miss anything, you don't want to kind of go scrolling through the feed, you just go to your guide section and it'll be broken out by each month. It'll say voice. You can go through and see what's there and catch up on whatever you need catching up on. And then the last thing I wanted to go through is the time commitment. So I know many of you are balancing a lot of different things. You may still be in your 9 to 5, or you may be full-time in your business. Things are crazy. Your calendar is never the same. I totally get that. And if you're wondering, like, how should I really look to invest my time? If I have, let's say 3 hours a week to contribute to this or whatever your time frame is, I would say to first prioritize the live calls. That by far is going to be the best ROI creating type of activity, is to join the live calls, because that's really where you get the most, you're going to be able to get the most support. You're making those connections, you're building relationships with everybody. You can ask me questions if you have any questions. And especially if we have guests coming in, that exposure and that ability to be able to ask and make your work known and be able to get that support and make that connection is priceless. Like that is not even a blimp of the amount that, like, any money amount, right? So I would say definitely in your calendar, prioritize the live calls and really make sure that you fill out that poll and let me know what days are best so you can make sure that it's something that you can really commit to for the next 4 months at least, right? And then from there, you can always catch up on the replays. Like, the live trainings are definitely, part of the space. It's going to be a really important part of our discussions, but I would much rather you prioritize live calls and be able to catch up on the replays whenever you have those moments in your own time, because that, you can always make that up. And of course, as you join the live calls and we're having different discussions, that's just going to build on anything that we're able to do in a live stream training type of capacity. So that's what I would say about that, making the most of your time here. Live calls, number 1, star, put it in your calendar. And then moving forward, if you need to catch up on the live streams, of course, I would love for you to show up live. It's such a different energy, but if you can't, you can always make those up when you can. And the last thing I wanted to say, oh, actually, yes, last thing, interacting and engaging. So we have this Facebook group, and I wanted the Facebook group to really be a space where it feels like you can always just pop in. It's like a lounge where you can always pop in and let people know what's going on. This is your space where you're free to post at any time. And this is where you can come in and ask for support. You can share your wins. If you need a recommendation for a specific, software, if you're needing a little bit more support around organizing your content, hey, what do you guys use to organize your content? Hey, how do you guys set up your content creation calendar? What do you guys think about this idea that I just had? Like, help me, anything like that. If you have any questions about where can I find this? You can definitely ask that in the group because maybe I might not be able to get to it right away, but somebody else can help you out. So that's really your space to come in and ask questions and ask for referrals, share your wins. If you're looking to connect with somebody specifically, hey, does anybody know an operations person? Does anybody know of a great VA? Whatever it is. I would say where to be intentional about what to post in the group versus what to wait for a live call for. If it would require more than like a comment back, then it might be best to wait for the next live call. In the beginning of each vocal activation technique, I will likely be teaching, but there's also going to be times where you can raise your hand and kind of ask questions if it's related to whatever it is that we're talking about, or if not, at those marketing Q&A calls, that's like open space. Of course, it might have more of a gear towards whatever we're focusing on that month, but if you really need some support or some coaching, that's the space to do it. So just keep that in mind. Posts are not really meant to be like back and forth coaching or support. It's more so, I have this question, I need a referral, I want to share this. What are your immediate thoughts about this? Even if you have a piece of content and you're like, hey guys, I'm gonna post this content. Let me know what you feel when you watch this, right? That's great target market research to do in the group. You don't have to wait for a call for that. But anything that would require a little bit more of a conversation, that might be best for a live call. And if anything, if I see something, I'm like, actually bring this to the live call. I might need a little, there might be more here. You know, I'll definitely do that and just know it's not coming from like a dismissing place. I just want to make sure that we're able to appropriately address whatever it is you're bringing up. Cool? Okay. So that's what I had for you today around making the most of your time here. And after this live stream, look out for that poll of what days and times are best for you to attend live. Like I said, try to pick the times that 80 to 90% of the time you'll be able to join live. Of course, we're all entrepreneurs, things are always changing. But if you know that usually Tuesdays are your craziest days, don't pick the Tuesday. Because like I said, I will be using this for any guests that come in and for Chris as well for his session with you all. And I want to make sure that you can be there live to make the most out of the time that we have with him or any other guests that we have coming in. And I want you to get the most value. And those live calls are going to be just like invaluable. They're going to be just that's really where the magic happens. So that is all. I will look forward to seeing you complete the terms and conditions. Make sure to complete the quiz in that module too, so you can certify or just comment underneath the terms and conditions that you read it, you agree, or, just write yes. And then I'll look out for those poll responses. And then tomorrow we are going to actually start laying your foundation. So tomorrow, bring your journal. There's going to be a little bit more involvement and really making sure that we can lay a solid foundation for you to get this journey started. And I will see you all tomorrow. Tomorrow's an early one. It's 8:30 a.m. Eastern. So if you're able to come here live that early, great. If not, no worries. I will see you all in day 3. Bye, everyone.